Navigating this world can be so noisy. There's constant noise. We're taking in notifications from our phones. We're listening to podcasts, consuming content on YouTube and other platforms. There is no lack of entertainment. There is no lack of distraction. And the truth is that some of us are afraid of silence. We're afraid of just sitting still. We feel guilty for not doing. We're always moving. Things always have to be happening for us to feel comfortable. As a musician, there is something called audio fatigue or ear fatigue. When you keep listening to music over and over and over again, your ears literally become fatigued. And so I have to take a break to give my senses a break so that I can hear clearly. Because if I listen to something too often, I don't hear the mistakes. I don't hear the subtle things happening in the music. Because at some point, the music becomes noise. My ears are no longer able to focus on the music. They're just tired. And the same thing happens with us. Noise is not just limited to sound. Noise is also visual. It is also clutter in your room. Things that get in the way of you being and resting. There is noise all around us. We've just become so used to the noise that sometimes we can't even hear it anymore. Just think about if you live in an inner city and you go out to the country. Some people feel uncomfortable because they don't hear the sirens, they don't hear people yelling, they don't hear the normal noises of a cityscape. But then if you go out to the country, you hear grasshoppers and, different animals moving, owls, and that can become loud because that's noise that you're not used to hearing. You notice the sounds more often because your brain is working harder to hear it because it's not used to hearing it. The same things can be said about our senses. Sometimes we are so fatigued and we don't know why because there's constant noise around us and we haven't done the work to check in to turn down that noise, to give our senses a break. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I have. I've been driving and I'm getting closer to my destination. I might be listening to music or talking on the phone, and I have to turn down the music or tell the person to hold on or I'll call them back because I have to concentrate. That's because a lot of noise is happening. There's visual noise happening. There's thoughts in my mind trying to decipher where the address is, right? And then I have the audio noise. And so often we turn down that audio noise, but we're not really paying attention to the noise happening all around us. If you're not checking the noise around you in your day-to-day life, you can become overwhelmed and fatigued. Sometimes our senses are so overwhelmed that we become overstimulated, meaning we don't want to hear anything, we don't want anyone to touch us, we get very irritable, you feel overwhelmed. You might even feel like you're going to explode. I know I felt like this before. And in those moments, it's imperative that you give your senses a break. Talking about all of your senses, the inside chatter in your mind, people touching you, what you're touching, what you're listening to, what you're tasting. There are foods that I've eaten that are too salty or too spicy that I can't even enjoy my meal because my senses are overstimulated. We're not really taught to enjoy the subtle things, the quiet things, the slow things. We're not really taught to savor things, savor our meals, savor our interactions with people. We're always on the go and we always fill our cup to the brim, so we always feel overwhelmed. But what if we turn down that dial of that noise in our life? And you may be asking, how does this look? How can I do this? I'm happy you asked because I'd love to share. So these are things that I'm implementing in my own life. These are things I'm working through. And these are just ideas I want to share with you that'll help you lessen the noise in your life and give your senses a break. Number 1, sit in silence. Literally, meditate. And a lot of people think meditation has to be like contemplating something or like going somewhere or having some sort of place that you need to end up. When really for me, meditation is sitting still and noticing, being quiet with myself, learning what I think about, learning how I process stuff, noticing the thoughts that keep popping up, noticing how I'm talking to myself, right? A lot of us don't know who we are because we haven't actually sat down to hear ourselves. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of to-dos. There's a lot of judgments, but there's not enough actually sitting in the presence of ourselves. So I love sitting still because it gives me a chance to just be quiet, to just slow down and not have to talk and not have to process and think. My brain is always going as a creative. And so being able to give myself opportunities to sit down and not do anything is a blessing. It literally feels like my mind is emptying. Another tip I want to give is making a list of all the things in your mind. Sometimes our minds are just cluttered with things, with thoughts, with worries and fears, so much so that we're not able to process things in real time well. We're always distracted. We really need to practice presence, which is why I think meditation is really important, or just sitting still, whatever you want to call it. Sitting still, being quiet, meditation. Don't make this, a heady thing. Don't make this a complicated thing. Literally sit on the floor and just think. Take out a journal and write down the things that you need to pour out, things you're worried about. I do this in prayer. When I'm praying to God, I pour out all of my worries and my frustrations, my fears, my longings, my desires, my dreams on paper, so I get it out of my head and get that energy moving out of my body. Writing things down really does wonders. I think it's something about using the hands to process the energy, but also seeing it on paper. Seeing things that you worry about on paper helps you to worry less about that thing, or to see that thing and really determine what's really important. Are the things I'm worrying about really important, or am I making them important? Is this urgent, or am I just tripping? Am I just doing too much? Am I putting unnecessary pressure on myself? I think those are really important questions to ask yourselves. And for the things that you have no control over, I give it to God, because there's no point in me worrying about something that I can't change right now anyway. It's okay to feel the feelings. It's okay to sit in it for a minute and grieve and process. But after that, I have to get up, because that noise, those thoughts are just taking up space in my mind that could be used for open space, for clarity, for breathing, for new ideas, for new solutions even to my problem. But I have to get it out first. Another thing I want to offer is to declutter your room, declutter your car, declutter your purse, whatever it is. I promise you that clutter is taking up space mentally. It's a lot of noise. To come into a room and to see so much stuff, to see stuff messy, right? It does something. It's visual noise. It's distracting you from the moment. It's taking you out of the moment, right? It's really important. And I didn't really understand this as a child, because I was a very messy person. I still kind of am messy, but I understand the value of decluttering now, of tidying up, of how much mental space it takes to see clutter. Before I create a piece of work, I have to clean off my desk. And wouldn't it be easier to just have a clean desk and show up to create? For all my creatives out there, I promise you, I get it. I'm messy just like you, but I promise that mess is taking up space. It's visual noise that your mind is processing. Your eyes are connected to your brain, so it's constantly processing all that stuff. And then you start to have thoughts of, oh, I need to clean this up. Oh yeah, this thing. Oh, let me go play with, you're going back and forth in your mind, and that's taking up energy, and it's taking up space, and it's creating noise in your mind. So make your environments a restful place, free of clutter. Put on some music you like, paint the room a color you enjoy, put your favorite essential oils in a diffuser, let it go throughout the room, put on a candle, whatever you need to do to create the space that you can relax in, that you can sink into your chair in, that you can release your belly, right? These are the things that we're looking for, places to really rest. Something else I do when I'm overwhelmed or overstimulated is sitting on the ground, closing my eyes, and laying there. I'm not putting pressure on myself. I don't have a goal in mind. I don't have something I'm trying to accomplish, except just being in the moment. Sometimes it's just too much, and I just close my eyes, stretch out, and lay on the floor. And I just give myself time to be, time to rest, time to not put pressure on myself to be anyone but who I am in that moment. And that's a woman laying on the floor, still having value, still having worth, and honoring my needs, because I need a break. I need quiet. Something else I do when I'm overwhelmed is go to the pool. Something about being weightless and being surrounded by water is so calming. Whether it's a pool or a beach, doesn't matter. When I'm able to float, I'm able to just release. Because even to float, you have to release. You have to relax, or else you're going to sink to the bottom. There's something meditative about floating in a pool for me that does wonders for my mind. It does wonders for the noise around me. Number one, my ears are submerged under the water, so I can't really hear anything, but also my body only feels the water around me. There's something beautiful to that. Now, if you don't have a pool, understandable, use your bed. Make your bed a soft space. Just lay there. If the floor is not working for you, lay there. Be there. Go into a room and turn off the lights. Turn off the noise, turn off the music and the fan, close the windows, and just sit there and allow yourself to sit in the dark. Now, if this is triggering for you in any way, you don't have to sit in the dark, but find a safe place where you feel like you can release, where you can relax your shoulders and, like I said, release your belly, where you can actually take a deep breath without worry. You can also be overstimulated when it comes to scent. Sometimes too many scents, heavy perfumes, cooking, all these things can be overwhelming to the senses, and sometimes I get nauseated. So what I like to do sometimes is to go scentless, right? To go outside and breathe some fresh air, or I'll wear a scent. I really love oils from the shop, so I wear an oil that's calming, that makes me feel luxurious and beautiful, but it's not too harsh and not too heavy, because I want to give my senses a break. Another thing I do when I'm feeling overwhelmed is drink some water. Drink some cool water. Now, I am picky about the water that I drink. Every water tastes different to me. Some people can't tell the difference, and that's fine, but I like to actually taste the water. It's really about being present. It's really about practicing presence, savoring, being in the moment, because being in the future causes anxiety because we're not there yet. We can't control anything there yet. But when you're doing things that ground you and allow you to be in the moment, you're less overwhelmed. There's less noise because you're focusing on what's really around you. Now consider this. Your brain is taking in information all the time. Your brain is processing that this leaf that I'm looking at is green, or that the sun is shining, or that it's overcast. I can hear birds chirping outside the window. I can feel my feet that are cold. My brain is processing things all the time. And so your brain can get overwhelmed. And so we have to do things that bring the brain in for a minute to focus on one specific thing, to lessen our anxiety, and to put us in the moment and have us honor and practice presence. Because a lot of us are here, but we're not present. As a sensitive person, I'm also very sensitive to noise. Too much noise, high-pitched sounds that are shrill, they really irritate me and really overstimulate me. And so sometimes I walk around with headphones on. There might not be any music playing, but I'm wearing them because they soften the sound. Also, when we're traveling, I might put on earbuds so that I can sleep because I'm a very light sleeper. I'm very sensitive to sound. And so I have to take care of my ears because I plan on using them for a long time, but also because that's like the number one source of overstimulation for me. When someone is too loud, when someone is over talking someone, when there are competing voices or competing sounds, I get really, really overstimulated. So wearing headphones, like noise canceling headphones or earplugs, work wonders. Set up your world to be a world that's not noisy. Don't make things complicated for yourself. Don't make things, super intense. Make it simple. Sometimes we don't savor the simple enough. Sometimes we're always trying to be extravagant and extra. And I feel like it has a time and a place, but too much of that, too much stimulation causes overwhelm, fatigue, anxiety, all the feelings that we're trying not to feel. And those feelings, if felt too long, leads to exhaustion. It's really exhausting when you're always taking in information. I've said this before that I don't think that humans were created to consume as much as we do. There's also something called fatigue when you're taking in too much information. We become gluttons for information and connection and stimulation. And after a while, nothing works. We're too busy chasing another high because we have been overstimulated for too long. So sometimes we have to actually practice presence, and that can be very uncomfortable. But I'm actually going to give you an exercise that I do to help me to remain present and in the moment when I'm feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or when I'm just doing too much. All right, so we're going to find a comfortable place to sit down or lay down or stand or whatever is comfortable to you. Make sure your body is positioned in a way that feels easy, that feels comfortable, that feels good. There's no right way to sit. There's no right way to stand for this exercise, okay? So I'm sitting in a chair and I'm putting my feet on the ground because that makes me feel good. So whatever makes you feel good, do that. All right, I start by closing my eyes for a second. And then I start by taking deep breaths in through my nose and breathing out like a straw through my mouth. So in through the nose, out through the mouth. And each time I breathe, I sink just a little deeper into my seat. So in through the nose, out through the mouth, one more time, in through the nose, and out through the mouth. Okay, so this exercise helps keep me grounded. I already feel a little lighter, a little easier just by breathing. And breath is a tool that's with us always, and you always have access to it. Okay? So I start at the top of my head, working my way down my body. And as I'm working my way down the body, I'm releasing tension. I'm just noticing where tension is in my body. So I start with my scalp. I release the muscles in my scalp. I might massage my scalp to connect with myself. I come down to my forehead, unfurrowing my brow, massaging my eyebrows outward to calm and relax them. I go to my temples, massaging with 3 of my fingers, my index, my middle, and my ring. Go to the temples, and I come down to the jaw. Now, I have TMJ, and my jaw clicks whenever I chew because of the stress that I held in my jaw for so long that went unchecked. So I always have to check in with myself to make sure that my jaw is unclenched. So I release my jaw, I release my tongue. If I wasn't talking, I would, but I release my tongue, and I linger there for a moment, just massaging, releasing my cheeks, allowing my lips just to relax. Then I work my way to my neck. I might do some, gentle neck stretches, side to side, up and down. I also go to my eyes. My eyes are always concentrating, always on. And I wear glasses, so my eyes kind of never get a break. So I massage my eye sockets. I allow my eyes to close so they don't have to work, so I can be present. Okay? Then I come down to my neck, like I said, gentle stretches. Then I go to my shoulders, and I pull my shoulders away down from my ears. Because a lot of the work that I do is typing. It's very hard. It's very heavy to hold your shoulders up to your ears all the time. And we don't realize that we need to release that tension. So pulling the shoulders down and back. And even forward, pulling them together in the front to stretch the back. And then backwards again. And I work my way down my arms, relaxing them all the way to my fingertips and just allowing them to rest at this moment. Take a deep breath in through the nose and then breathe out through the mouth. Then I notice my chest. If I feel any tightness in my chest that needs to be worked out or stretched, maybe I just need another deep breath. Because that feels good. Okay, I'm working my way down my spine. Feeling any tension in my spine. Stretching any little mini kinks that I might find there. Then I work my way around to my belly. And a sign for me that I'm stressed out is if I'm holding my belly in. If I'm pulling my navel to my spine, I know I'm stressed out. So I give my belly permission to release. Not judging it for hanging over the pants, but releasing because I am safe. Okay, then we're going to work our way down the hips. Just noticing my hips sitting in the chair, making sure that I'm comfortable. Settling even further down or adjusting just to be as comfortable as I need to be for this exercise. Because life should be comfortable. Okay, we're going to work our way down the legs, releasing any tension, stretching them if they want to be stretched. All the way down to the ankles, rolling them around. Because how often are our ankles neglected? Right? Then going down to the feet, flexing and stretching them as well, all the way down to stretching my toes. Okay, and in this moment, I feel relaxed, I feel good, and then I practice presence. Now that could be me sitting here and not saying anything at all for the next 10 minutes, or it could just be me noticing, using my 5 senses and extra senses to be in this moment. So for me, that looks like me seeing light trails in my eyes from the window in front of me, even though they're closed, noticing them. Listening to the birds chirp outside and the faint sound of someone cutting their grass. I feel the air circulating throughout the room on my skin. I feel my hands on my thighs. Just noticing. Just taking a moment to notice. I taste the taste of a juice that I'm drinking. I feel on the inside. At this moment, I feel calm. I feel at peace. I feel like I need another breath, so I'm going to take a deep breath. I feel my heart beating in my chest, pumping. Thank you, heart, for keeping me alive. I feel centered. I feel balanced. I feel okay. Yeah. I can feel the hairs on my arms, feeling the air move around them. So we've done touch, taste, see, hear, smell. What do I smell? I smell grapefruit from the juice I'm drinking. I smell grapefruit. I smell the scent of the room, just the smell of home, the scent of home. It smells like safety and warmth and belonging. I smell a plug-in from Glade. And then I go back to my thoughts. Now that I'm present, what do I feel? I feel okay. I feel like everything in this moment is okay. I feel good. How do you feel? Check in with how you feel in this moment. Maybe you need to redo this, or maybe you feel uncomfortable. Whatever the answer is, it's correct. It's enough. Just take a second. Just be in your mind and allow your mind to wander. What is it saying to you? What are you saying to yourself? What are things that you need to hear from yourself that you haven't made space or room to hear because we're overstimulated and there's too much noise? What do you hear? Be okay with the silence. Learn to be okay with the silence. Be okay with it feeling awkward. Be okay with wondering if you're doing it right. You're doing it right because you're doing it. It is right. You are right. You are correct. We're so used to judging ourselves for everything, including presence practices. You're not getting a grade for this, but this is important. Can you hear yourself? What questions do you have for yourself? What answers are coming to you? They're all there, but sometimes we have to declutter to hear. We're going to take another deep breath in. And sinking just a little further into the floor or the chair or wherever you are. We're going to exhale. You don't have to call this meditation. You don't have to call this a practice. You can just call this you being with you. Because that is enough. You are enough. God gave you all these senses for you to feel and explore, but not to be overwhelmed with. Don't turn a gift into a nightmare. Make sure you're taking time for yourself. And as we start to close, I want you to think of one thing you can do. Just one thing, one simple thing, easy thing, fun thing you can do to practice better presence, but also to practice removing the noise. Maybe it's driving without music for a little bit or podcasts. Maybe it's taking a break from consuming so much. Maybe it's savoring a meal. Really being present for it. Maybe it's removing the clutter from our rooms or our phones. Maybe it's just spending more time with ourselves, in the quiet presence of ourselves. Whatever it is, I implore you to commit to it for at least a week. Just give it a try. What could it hurt? Take a deep breath in and breathe out. One more time, deep breath in, filling your lungs and expanding your belly. Savoring this breath. And then breathe out. And one more time, just because breathing feels so good. Breathing in. And breathing out. And we're going to start working our way from our feet, wiggling our toes, stretching and flexing our feet and our ankles, rolling them, bending and stretching our legs, being grateful for every movement of our bodies, for our heart that's pumping blood throughout our extremities, moving up to our hips, going up our spine, coming to the shoulders again, making sure the shoulders are pulling away from the ears and just relaxing them, letting them hang. We're moving up the neck, just noticing how our neck feels, thanking it for all the work it does, for keeping us safe. Coming up the jawline, our mouth, our nose, our cheeks, and now our eyes, allowing them to open when we feel ready. How do you feel? I hope this presence practice was helpful. I hope that you feel more grounded, more clear. I hope that the noise was turned down even for just a little bit. Take this practice with you, and until next time, I'll talk to you later. Love you. Bye. find the ground. Da, 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 da. Turn off the lights. Open your eyes. Just step outside. You don't have to hide. Treasure your time. Let go what binds. Yeah. Seek and you'll find. Rest for your mind. You're not falling behind. To yourself, be kind. Release the grind. Breathe and unwind. Live and feel light. Die for subscribes. Go slow. Chasing the highs. Go slow. Of joys you can't buy. Go slow. For your weary soul, go offline. For your weary soul, go offline. For your weary soul, go offline. For your weary soul, go